In this video, I am going to explain why you should be using email and not text messages when you are communicating important messages in a real estate transaction. In any real estate transaction, whether you're buying a property or selling a property, there are generally flurries of communication that go back and forth between the buyer and the seller. If you do have a real estate agent, the same applies. There are many communications that happen between real estate agents, between the buyer's agent and the listing agent. In each of these cases, there are many communications that are more important and significant than others. And in those situations, I highly recommend that you use emails and not text messages. Honestly, I've never been a fan of text messages, and the biggest reason why I'm not a fan of text messages is I'm just not that fast on the keyboard on the phone. So personally, when I send text messages, I actually have to speak into the phone and have the phone transcribe my words into text. Most of the time it gets it right, but there are a couple of errors that I got to correct before I send the text messages. Now, I understand text messages are instant, they're attention getters, and the likelihood of a quick response is wonderful. However, the problem with text messages is that the standard of communication in many text messages is often much lower than the standard in an email communication. I want you to think about how you communicate with text messages. Do you use complete sentences? Do you use punctuation? Do you make an effort to spell all your words correctly? Do you use emojis? Are you using slang in casual language? If you're like most people, you probably are, and that's one of the big reasons why text messages is very flawed. The other problem here is people who want to capture text messages and show it as proof that they've communicated to somebody often do it through a screenshot. And if you've ever seen any screenshot of text messages, it's very awkward looking. You barely can tell who is sending the text message to whom. It's very hard to follow. Whereas communications through emails tend to be more formalized. People make a better effort to spell their words, punctuate their sentences, use better grammar, and even without all of that, the email format is much more structured. When you receive an email, even if it's just one word, you get the name of the sender, you get the email address of the sender, you get the date that the message was sent, and you get the time that is sent. And in most cases, you will also get the subject line of the email being sent. None of these things happen in text messages, and hence this is why I encourage people who are doing real estate transactions with or without real estate agents to use emails. Now, am I saying that every single communication has to be done through an email? Absolutely not. For example, if you're wanting to quickly meet up somewhere, or there's been a reschedule, or something very quick, you can do a text message. But if there's something more significant, like deadline oriented, or you need some solid answers, or there's some contractual timelines where you're obligated to communicate your portion of your responsibilities in a timely fashion, email is the place to do it. Now, of course, there's little tricks around that, right? If you want to get somebody's quick attention, what you can do is send them a text message and say, hey, I just sent you an email. Can you go ahead, read it, and respond to it? And that's done quite often. Another thing about emails, especially people in the real estate profession like I am, I have a personal email account, which is a little bit more casual. I don't have all of my business information in my email signature. My real estate email address, I do have a more formalized email signature. You get my name, you get a picture of me, you get my phone number, and a link to my website address. But these are things that I don't normally provide in my email signature in my personal email address. And you will find that many real estate professionals do include many important pieces of their contact information in their email signature. For me, like I told you earlier, I'm more of an email person. If there are important things I need to follow up or communications I need to receive, I let people know I prefer email. If there's an appointment or anything along those lines, please send me an email. I pay more attention to my emails and follow up on my emails than my text messages. Text messages are very casual, and quite frankly, I'm not able to respond appropriately or as thoroughly as I might like. Now, aside from my personal opinions of why I encourage people who are participating in real estate transactions to use email, is that as a licensed real estate professional, I take many real estate continuing education courses. And part of these continuing education courses involve courses that have to do with real estate contracts. And in every class that I've ever taken by an experienced real estate instructor that teaches contracts, they always tell you and they always remind you that you should be using emails and not text messages for important communications. So it isn't just my general opinion, it is also the opinion of many brokers and instructors of real estate contract classes. 10-20 years ago, the standard was to use fax machines if you needed to transmit important information. And while fax machines are still being used, the general real estate industry that has adopted technology, everyone prefers sending them via email, not faxes. And I don't want to get too far off of a tangent, but the problem with faxes, as many of you probably already know, is faxes can get jammed up. Sometimes you can't get through, you get a busy signal, or there's a paper jam, the fax machine doesn't work properly. Any number of mishaps can happen. Whereas emails, yes, there are email mishaps that can happen, but there are definitely far less moving parts involved. I make this video in the context that I am a licensed real estate professional, but honestly, I've been in business for many years outside the realm of real estate, and in those situations, I'm still a big proponent of emails. So the next time you are involved in a real estate transaction or any business transaction, think twice before you send a text message. Is this communication important? Does it need a paper trail? If you feel that a particular communication is important enough to have a message trail, that's your cue to use email and not text messages. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. While you're at it, take a look at these videos that I've recommended for you, and I'll see you in my next video.